D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, David James. And as I just found out, birthday boy, Willie Donick. Happy birthday!
Double nickel.
Woo!
Double nickel.
Boom.
There you go.
55 years young
Alonzo Mourning.
for Willie Donick.
The
How
double
does it
nickel.
feel?
Age is just a number, people.
There you go.
Gotta embrace it.
Well,
55
happy
is the
birthday.
new
You
38.
are what you feel, man. You are what you feel. You don't feel 55.
You're hydrating with yellow Gatorade.
Absolutely.
No, that would be green Gatorade.
The same color of
Willie,
Gatorade
stop it.
that the Seattle
Lemon lime.
Seahawks poured all over
Willie.
Mike McDonald last night after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. That is clearly yellow. We are not relitigating this. That
Yes.
case has been
I
closed.
think on my birthday, I feel like I could reopen the case. I showed you guys evidence. It's either or, but we'll move on.
This is this year.
Won't drag the show down.
Okay.
But I will have it on display just for those that can see the tint of green.
Yellow.
If you're watching on the YouTube
All
channel.
right, Willie.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Lemon lime.
Yeah.
Show of virtual hands. A yellow Gatorade. Lemon lime Gatorade is yellow or green. 615-737-1025. We will allow the texters who may not have heard this argument a year ago to chime in. But lemon lime Gatorade, yellow or green, clearly yellow. But let us know. 615-737-1025. The Seattle Seahawks, as I just said, win Super Bowl 60, 29-13 against the New England Patriots. In the grand lineage of Super Bowls, that was one of them.
See, Adam, you don't remember back in the day, 3 out of every 4 Super Bowls
Was
used
like
to be
this.
like that.
Yes,
I mean, it was
absolutely.
so anticlimactic. We got spoiled the last 20 years, I think.
I mean, it was a blowout last year, right?
Yeah, the last 2 have been blowouts.
Yeah. So now you get a somewhat defensive battle.
It was 40-22 Philadelphia
Yeah,
against
see,
Kansas
and
City.
it wasn't really
a
that
year
it
ago.
close.
was, yeah, it really wasn't.
And
that
this game
close.
was not
It
as
was
close.
not that close either.
Yes.
It really wasn't. I think, whatever plan that, the New England Patriots came in with, they tried to stick with it, but they just couldn't. I thought they came in wanting to lean on their defense and allow their defense to put their offense in good field position. And for a minute, they were able to do that. But I think as all football games go, typically in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs, teams make these mental adjustments. And, then you start to get into the flow of the game. And ultimately, the better team wins. They figure it out. They make a few plays, and you start to wear a team down. And that's what you saw on both sides of the ball, where Seattle wore New England out, first on offense and then on defense.
I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry.
I mean, I can keep going. I mean, big ups to Kenneth Walker.
Yes, Super Bowl MVP.
Super
We
Bowl
picked
MVP.
him to be
And I
Super
did
Bowl
think
MVP.
about him as a free agent to be,
Mhm.
which I don't know if they'll rethink things after he had the performance he did, but he's pretty young.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they haven't re-upped on him, but
this
the
is first
Seahawks
contract.
have a very
This would be
interesting
he's still on his rookie
philosophy.
contract.
Well, is that his 4th year? He's a
this
free
is
agent,
just-
right?
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
free
free
But he
agent
was not
now,
a first-round pick, so they need to sign him. He's unsigned.
Correct.
And they can't use the 5th-year option because he wasn't a first-round pick. So he's a potential
Mhm.
free agent and a young free agent. So might be expensive to get him. And he is not a great blocker or pass catcher, but the guy can run the ball.
He
But
can.
the Seahawks are interesting how they built this team. This was not a team that tanked and got really bad for a few years and then built a good roster by picking in the top 5 or 10 for 3-4 straight years, right? They're an interesting build. And I found myself wanting to study more about how they built this team
And we
because
will
they
do
were
that.
strong.
We will do that throughout the course of the show. I was a deer in the headlights for a minute there, like Drake May facing all that pressure last night from
You mean the guy that almost won the MVP and then looked like he had never played the game before? I don't know what happened to him.
He was seeing ghosts like
Something.
like Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Was
Yeah.
off.
And look at Sam Darnold now. I heard Bill Simmons, noted Boston sports fan, say this after the game last night, that maybe if you're looking for a silver lining, if you're a Patriots fan, that when Drake May wins 5 Super Bowl titles, this will be the game at the start of the 30 for 30 where he had his worst performance and everybody counted him out and everybody said he was a paper runner-up for MVP. And now look at him now. Well, we'll see in the future. But that is a question, by the way, I do have about this game. I am wondering how damaging Drake May's playoff performance will be to his reputation. Because as you said, Willie, he barely lost in MVP voting to Matthew Stafford. He was right there. And he had a terrible postseason. Not just the game last night, the wild card round against LA, the divisional round against Houston. He was fine against Denver. They didn't really ask him to do a whole lot through the air in that game. But for the postseason, he was 70 of 120, which is under 60% completion, 828 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 21 sacks taken, 7 fumbles, 4 lost. Analytically, it was the worst performance by a quarterback who started at least 3 games in a single postseason this millennium. If you're going by expected points added, the worst. So I'm wondering how damaging this playoff performance will be to his reputation, rightly or wrongly.
And I think you could also say that the two of the touchdown passes came late in the game last night when the game was pretty much over. It was, 19-0 by the time they threw the first one. So he had 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but he had 4 and 4 until the Super Bowl was out of hand.
Some garbage time padding of stats there.
I'm not that worried about it, but because I think there would be about 28 teams that would take Drake May, knowing that performance happened, to say, I don't care, give him to me. I'll give you whatever you want, almost, because he's really good. But it is weird how in the spotlight, if you have a bad game and you've never won it before, how you get a stigma. And I will use a couple examples from the past. I definitely think going way back, Fran Tarkenton got that, because they lost 3 Super Bowls when he was there. You definitely had that with Elway for a long time in his career, because he had some really poor performances on the big stage until they broke through in his last couple of years. And then Jim Kelly and the Bills, definitely. Like, the greatness is there. It's amazing what they did. Like, he almost won the MVP. But when you don't do well in the Super Bowl, there's a penalty just because so many people are watching in that moment, and that's what they remember. And they forget about the other stuff.
By the way, the worst playoff runs for quarterbacks who started at least 3 games in a single postseason by expected points added since 2000. Drake May, number 1, minus 29.2 expected points added. Number 2, Peyton Manning in 2015, negative 22.7. Number 3, Rex Grossman, 2006, negative 22.5. So Drake May's performance was the worst by a noticeable margin.
Yeah, and people will forget about it.
If he wins.
If he continues to win. But a lot of this isn't going to be on him. I think if you look at their roster as it is right now, and I'll talk about some of the things that could potentially change it, but if you look at their roster right now, this is a good team. Their quarterback seems to be developing, nice running back. So they got some pieces on defense. They got a few pieces. So you see this team and you figure the schedule is going to be hard for them next year, but I think this is still a good team. The problem is all these teams that you didn't have to face, or these teams that you faced but didn't have their quarterback or were not healthy, you may now face all of them healthy. And it's not what Drake May does, it's what they do around him. Keyshawn Boutte, he's been there, 3 years now? He's on his rookie deal. This past year was his best season. I think he only had 500 yards, somewhere around there.
551 receiving yards.
So you got to find a playmaker, because Diggs will be gone. You're looking for Matt Collins to be your guy. He's going to be gone eventually. They got to find a way to turn over this roster. Their tight ends, both of them are older individuals. Both of them will be segueing pretty soon. You need to find you some guys that can step in and play right now to help him. This is what Vrabel's problem was here. When those older guys started to mature out or getting traded, you didn't develop or draft well.
Correct.
He's going to have the same problem with the quarterback that can win, but you're not going to have the players to match the quarterback or come near to the quarterback. So they may be good next year because they may end up keeping some of these guys, these veteran guys. I don't know how, but they may end up doing it. But what are they going to do in free agency? But not just free agency. They got to develop their players because this can be a short run with a very good quarterback.
Skyler on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says Drake May will be fine. Mike McDonald just exposed how young and raw he is. They blitzed him all game. Drake May will be solid, and this will be a good learning experience for him. Let's go to Adam from Portland.
The secret to the Seahawks was
that 4-man
They do not blitz.
They don't have to blitz
a few
very
times,
often.
but man, those 4 linemen got to him. So it wasn't that they were blitzing. They were playing coverage. That's the problem. They were playing coverage, and now people are wondering, can he read the coverages?
And that element of the Seahawks defense is something that we will be discussing later in the program as we attempt to decipher which lessons we can take from the Seahawks season. Let's go to Adam in Portland on our phone line. Adam, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
D-Mace, Willie, and Adam. Do you know who Drake May reminded me of last night?
Who's that?
Cam Ward. He looked exactly like him. Like, all season, Cam had to deal with that. Like, a young quarterback getting smoked by a great defense. Like, Cam had so many good defenses he had to play. That's what I was thinking the whole time, man. I'm like, God, the Broncos, I would love to have seen what Bo Nix looked like. I think that was the game. Like, we got kind of cheated out of that because of injury. But I'm sitting here going, he looks like Cam, dude. Like, welcome to our world. This is exactly what it would look like if we had to play in a big game like that. So, sucks to suck, but, man, that's what we had to deal with. So, yeah, whatever.
Thank you, Adam. By the way, Will Campbell, yikes, last night. I don't know if this is accurate or not. The NFL charged Will Campbell with 14 pressures allowed last night. I don't know how accurate that is, but on paper, it seems accurate. He was
backpedaling.
He was being bullied out there.
Boy, was he just ragdolled.
He was being dominated.
Just pushed.
The 4th overall pick in the NFL draft this past year, right? So we'll see what happens there. But to your guys' point on the Seahawks defense, they pressured Drake May on 52.8% of his dropbacks while blitzing on just 13.2% of plays.
Yeah, they didn't have to blitz. They were just getting pressure. And that's what, everybody knew what the game plan was coming in because this is what Seattle does. This is what Mike McDonald, as a head coach / defensive coordinator, this is how he applies pressure. You get 4 guys that can rush the passer, and you play coverage behind it. And they got a damn good defense. And that's what they want, y'all. That's what they want the viewer or the quarterback to think, is that you're blitzing all the time. But we're not. We're just bringing pressure, and it looks like blitz because we got everybody at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden, you don't know who's coming. And as it turns out, it was only a 4-man rush or 5-man rush, but you couldn't pick it up because you were confused. And it was basically, he was seeing ghosts. There was a point where before he started throwing that it just looked like he didn't know what he was looking at all. And it was almost like he ducked a lot of times because he knew the pressure was coming. But hey, listen, you're a young quarterback. You hate that you had to go through it on the big stage, but I mean, this is a learning lesson. If he's going to get better, he has to understand and know how to adapt in that type of environment. And he couldn't yesterday.
What surprised me was how, for a guy who can really run, like he can run, how he gets caught. They get a hold of him and he couldn't get out of there. Like I thought there were a couple times where I'm thinking, just get out and go, run. But he couldn't escape. Once they grabbed him, he wasn't going anywhere. And I had the under 3.5 sacks in our
you did
little pool. So that was gone by early in the second half. Good.
They obliterated that.
I mean, within 2 series, I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. But yeah, I think he's still got a lot to learn. The question, just like with every other quarterback and with Cam for sure, do you get better year after year? Drake May got way better from his first year. Wasn't bad, not bad at all. Second year, huge jump. So what's he got? How does he continue to learn and get better?
Eli on our text line says that Sam Darnold is now officially a Ghostbuster. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Eli. Willie, the text line is not so kind to you.
I don't care.
Yellow versus green debate. One texter says the only way that Gatorade was green is if you're munching on kale leaves. Yellow for sure. One texter says, is lemon lime Gatorade yellow or green? Yes.
Lemon lime. All I'm asking for is an either or. That's what I'm looking
It's yellow.
for.
It's
Okay.
yellow.
But I watched at my daughter's place last night with her roommates.
And what did they say?
They reminded me that Evie went on the radio show last year.
Yeah.
She did.
Went the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Went the other way. She went
It said
against
on her
me.
Instagram page, hey,
But
vote yellow or green.
as soon
And who were the only ones that voted green?
It was so funny as soon as they, it's the closing minutes and they show the Gatorade and they took the lid off and they're stirring it. I'm like, oh my God, here it is. And sure enough, D Mace is texting. Everybody's going, hey, it's the same color Gatorade. So I'm like, there it is. It's lemon lime. It's lemon lime.
You do have one defender. Al says, oh no, the yellow-green Gatorade debate. I called in last year to support my boy Willie, and on his birthday today, I support him 300%.
Yes. Thank you, Al.
Al, we
percentage points went up with it.
We appreciate your service. Chris says, you guys are tripping. Tennessee has the worst rated quarterback in the league, and you're talking about how bad he played last night. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's
Chris.
talking about Drake May. What he's saying is that Cam Ward was bad. How can we talk about Drake May? Well, here's the deal. Just because the quarterback here hasn't played well, and we talked about it. His first half of the season wasn't good. The second half was a lot better. But does he or do he need to continue to develop? Yes, he does. But that shouldn't take away us seeing what we saw yesterday. Drake May was bad. We're not saying he's going to be bad.
Correct.
We just said he was bad throughout the playoffs.
All postseason.
Exactly. So it's okay to say he's been bad. But I did say the quarterback position is something they don't need to worry about. They just need to make sure they get guys around him that matches his ability. I hope you heard that at the beginning of the show.
I don't think any of us said, hey, look at how bad Drake May was last night. Sure glad the Titans have Cam Ward.
Exactly.
That's
misinterpret.
That's not what we were saying. We were saying that Drake May, who had an MVP caliber regular season, barely missed out on being the MVP, had one of the worst, if not actually the worst postseason run by any quarterback this millennium. That doesn't take away from what he accomplished in the regular season, but he was bad in the playoffs. And we'll see what happens with Drake May's career from here. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, let's continue to focus on the Patriots for just a little bit, because we did have a lively discussion near the end of Friday's show. And let's pick up on that now that we know the outcome of the game. 615-737-1025. It is a Reaction Monday, and Reaction Mondays are brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Okay, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto wants you to know that low mortgage rates are back, and you can take advantage of that in a couple of different ways. Loan Pronto has fixed rate mortgages with APRs as low as 4.89%, the lowest in years. So once again, the reminder, if you're stuck with an interest rate that's higher than that, 6%, something like that, higher, you can drop your payment big time month by month with a refi, and you can even skip maybe your next 2 house payments. That is big time for your budget, short-term and long-term. Or you can keep your first mortgage in place and cash out or get some cash out of your home's equity with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. You can get $50,000, $100,000, $250,000, whatever you need. Pay off credit cards, car loans, and cut monthly expenses by thousands of dollars in many cases. So call and see what option works best for you. Don't miss this rate drop. Ask about new home loans, VA loans, full cash out refis, or the rapid equity loan. 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Get that free instant home appraisal. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, APR for well-qualified buyers, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Sad news in the world of music this weekend. Brad Arnold, frontman of Three Doors Down, died after a battle with cancer. So I wanted to shout out Three Doors Down. And speaking of It's not my time. The New England Patriots, because they lost 29-13 in Super Bowl 60 to the Seattle Seahawks. And we will get to the Seahawks, okay? We're not just going to pile on the Patriots. We will get to the Seahawks later in the program. Teron Davenport, by the way, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, will join us at 4 o'clock. But here's another question. The first question I asked was, how damaging will Drake May's playoff performance be to his reputation, rightly or wrongly? Here's the second question. How much blame should go to Mike Vrabel for the Patriots' performance in the Super Bowl? As I said on Friday, the Mike Vrabel love fest in the lead up to the Super Bowl was nauseating. And I consumed a lot of it, which is probably why I had a bellyache. But Mike Vrabel outgunned last night by Mike McDonald. I thought Vrabel was uncharacteristically conservative last night, and perhaps that's because he realized his offense was getting nowhere. I think the example everybody will point to is kicking the extra point instead of going for two. I thought there were at least a couple of instances where they had 4th and shorts and they decided to punt instead. But how much of this should Mike Vrabel wear, Derek?
I think he, at times, sort of took the approach of, live to fight another day. And I think sometimes, especially in a game with this magnitude, you got to know when to be aggressive, but then you got to know when to sort of hold on to that aggression. And this is where I depart from like the analytics, because you feeling it now. You seeing it. You feeling the rush. You see what your quarterback looks like out there. That's when you say, the analytics may tell me to go for it now, but I'm looking at my team. So I got to do what's best for my team. And what's best is to punt, allow our defense to continue to play well, and then get into better field position. It was a field thing with Vrabel yesterday. You can see it. It got to a point where if they didn't have to throw the football, they wouldn't have, I don't think, because they couldn't protect the quarterback. So it's like, yeah, we want to be aggressive. And he ran into the same problem here. I want to be aggressive as a coordinator, but I can't, because the minute I get ready to throw, my quarterback he's almost on his backside, or he's getting pressure, or he's running around trying to look for a place to throw. So he played the game he had to play until he couldn't play it no more, which was when they were down. They got 2 touchdowns. I give him that. But he also threw at least 2 interception-worthy balls, along with the 2 that were intercepted.
I felt like I saw a lot of these kind of games when he was the coach of the Titans, even when the Titans were good. And sometimes the strategy works.
Mm-hmm.
There's a patience when you're down 3-0, when you're down 6-0, and your offense is struggling, and you're playing a good defense, and you're having some matchup problems. I really felt like he just thought, okay, my defense is playing pretty well. My offense will get it going eventually. One good drive, one good play, maybe a big special teams play will swing it back our way. And throughout the whole first half, they were one big play away from going up 7-6 or something like that, right? Where you feel fine at the half. It just never happened. I don't think he thought my offense is going to pitch a goose egg here. He just thought the next drive will be the drive. The next drive will be the drive. But I think he understood that it was going to be hard for his offense, his offensive line, to move around the Seahawks consistently. So he was hoping for opportunistic drives and maybe a big play by his defense or special teams to swing the game. And it just never happened. And that was unfortunate. But I don't think that's very different from Mike Vrabel. Now, going for 2, I agree. When they finally scored, they should have gone for 2. I don't know why they didn't. But I thought that was Mike Vrabel being Mike Vrabel.
You mean the first time? They went for it the second time. They went for 2 the second time.
But when they scored to make it 19-6, they just kicked it for 19-7, where I was thinking 8, 16, 19.
Oh, okay.
Was how you would do it. So I was surprised. But either way.
One
horse
text-
was out of the barn at
Yeah.
that point.
One texter says, shoot, I was having flashbacks. Terrible offensive line, quarterback getting sacked 6 times, running for his life, playing sound defense, and hoping the other team screws up. The Vrabel special.
It works, though. It works a lot of times.
Not the
Also, he probably knew something about his quarterback
Mhm.
that we didn't know, and that is he did have some arm problems, right? I was reading today, he had a cortisone shot or whatever you get. His shoulder, his throwing shoulder was not right. And I don't know if he wasn't getting the same velocity that he normally gets, but I would have to say if you're heavily medicated, it probably can affect your effectiveness, either your mental sharpness, your timing, but he was clearly off. Like he was missing throws that were there, even when the guy was there. It may not be the biggest window,
Mhm.
but there were times where the
I mean, he had
completion
to
was there to be had. He just didn't make the throw.
He had the tight end wide open. I think it was Hunter Henry, wide open on a corner route, and he just totally missed him. They were playing single high zone underneath, single high over the top, and the tight end got over the top with a corner route, and he just completely. That would have been at least a 30-yard gain, and the only person that would have stopped him was the safety that was back there that could potentially slow him up or tackle him. So that's a big play. They had numerous big plays or drive extending plays that he threw behind the receiver, over the head of the receiver. Now, if that was because of his arm, then okay. But I think a lot of it too was he was trying to fit, the ball into this 3-layered window, and the windows were tight. Like even the one he threw to Mac Holland over the middle that he completed, he had to the second wave, like the second line was like 10 yards down the field. And then that behind him was like 17, 18 yards. And he had to fit it into that window, and he did. But you're asking him to do that every time, fit it in those tight windows every time, all while getting pressure. That's hard to do.
By the way, can you imagine what the score of that game would have been if not for Christian Gonzalez?
He should have been
Gonzalez
MVP.
made some incredible,
Had they won.
incredible plays. That if not for him, it would have been a blowout early in the game. So he's not the Super Bowl MVP. That's Kenneth Walker. But kudos to you, Christian Gonzalez. I know you're listening. Gunner says, all I could think of last night was the Titans-Ravens in 2021. I get it. Vrabel is in charge of the offense. But even back to the Cincinnati game, it's a pattern for Vrabel in big games. The offense doesn't show up. Josh from White House says, I felt like I was watching a Titans game all over again. Left side of the line had the quarterback running for his life and seeing ghosts. Then in true Vrabel fashion, no halftime adjustments.
I feel like they thought they would run the ball better than they did. Would you agree? I think it surprised them they were not able to get more done, just straight up powering it ahead and putting themselves in better position. I think they thought they would run some
front.
Yeah, I think they thought they would run for some first downs and have some field position to work with. It just never happened. It was a perfect storm the wrong way.
The Patriots were the first team ever to start multiple rookies on its offensive line in the Super Bowl, and they both were on the left side of the line. Will Campbell at left tackle and Jared Wilson at left guard. So maybe keep that in mind when you're roster building. Maybe don't put two rookies next to each other on the offensive line. I don't know.
14-3 though.
But you tend to.
I'm just throwing that out there. 14-3.
That is true.
You tend to go into the off, even though listen, it was bad during the playoffs for this offensive line. But if anything, the only way they're going to get better is if they learn from this and the coaches learn and develop from this point on. Because again, Vrabel had a really good run here. But the demise of his run was the lack of development in the bottom half and in the guys that they drafted. And I know Patriot fans are on, they are optimistic, and they should be. But, they should just look, to the AFC South and look at the Titans and see his tenure here and how it started to go bad. It wasn't just, the owner firing the GM in the middle of the season. It also was because this roster wasn't developed.
Brian says, I don't know why, but before the game, I thought I was going to be pulling for the Patriots and Vrabel. But about 30 seconds into the game, I realized, nope. And I love seeing him squirm on the sideline. The worse it got.
How's all those power
boy.
drinks he drink?
Yeah,
he
he was
consumed.
C12 last night, maybe C16. I don't know.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, probably has to do with all of those energy drinks. Eli says, I do not understand why Stevenson and Henderson were not on the field at the same time to play a little bit more bully ball when they were playing more nickel defense.
I don't know how much
Yeah.
they use those two at the same time
Exactly.
during the regular season, so that's hard to.
I know Henderson is
attack
their
that.
guy, their bell cow, I believe, but I don't know how they use them as far as like interchangeable. Do they put them on the field at the same time? Was he fully healthy? I guess he was.
He was. They used
Yeah.
him a lot, but they used Stevenson as kind of the power
Mhm.
early down back, it seems like, and Henderson's more of the outside big play guy. But yeah, that's a they didn't run the ball well, so everything's probably up for discussion in New England today. I can't imagine what those shows are like today.
Joey
They're
from
not used to losing
Yeah.
up there. They've won a lot, so it's kind of like I wonder what the feeling is like. It's been a while since they had this kind of downer where you get to the Super Bowl and you don't play well, right? Even when they lost the Super Bowls with Brady, they were all really close, could go either way kind of games.
Joey from Bellevue says, Vrabel had a great year. He most definitely turned the Patriots around. It's crazy hearing callers criticizing Vrabel for struggling with adjustments. Sometimes the other team is just better. That is true.
Well, Seattle was just better.
They were.
And again, this Patriot team, they have, the right guy underneath center. I think they have themselves a really good running back or a tandem of running backs. They got to find receivers. They got to find tight ends, offensive linemen. Where have you heard that before? And their defense is pretty good. Their defense is, I'm sure they're only going to get better. It's the offensive side of the ball.
615-737-1025. How much blame should go to Mike Vrabel for the Patriots' performance in the Super Bowl? How do you as Titans fans feel about watching the Patriots and Vrabel losing so convincingly? 615-737-1025. Coming up next, where do the Seahawks rank in North American professional sports among the unlikeliest champions ever? We'll tell you next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, this is Derek Mason, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some good news, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer you a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tender nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Tonight, the number 5 Commodores take on number 10 Oklahoma at Memorial Gym at 8 p.m. Pregame begins at 7:45. Hopefully, the Vanderbilt women have a better outcome than the Vanderbilt men against Oklahoma on Saturday. And we will get into that at some point today. But 8 p.m. tip-off, 7:45 pregame on 94.9 The Fan. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in Mike in Old Hickory. Mike, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a dull game. Didn't like it at all. And but my question is, with Vrabel, there's people here saying that, oh, they're glad. They're just, oh, I'm so glad he lost. Why? I thought he was fired from Tennessee. He didn't quit. He got fired. But if he was still here, he at least got New England in the Super Bowl. If he was still here, could he have gotten us further down the playoff line? So all you people that hate Vrabel, I don't care. The fact of the matter is, he got New England into the Super Bowl. Yes, lost, dull game, and you're all happy about that. Fact of the matter is, we're going nowhere next year or this year or next year. So what I want to ask, who's going to be the top 5 AFC or NFC picks that you guys think are going to be in a Super Bowl in 2026 this year? Because it's not going to be the Seahawks and it's not going to be the Patriots.
Thank you for the call, Mike.
Yeah, you will make a lot of money if you get that right today, because nobody had the Seahawks or the Patriots on the radar to start this season.
And that leads us to our next topic. You may have seen this going around, that the Seattle Seahawks were 60-1 preseason odds to win the Super Bowl. Those are the longest preseason odds by a Super Bowl champion since the 2001 New England Patriots.
Wow.
And here, courtesy of Sportico, are the longest preseason odds to win a championship in U.S. pro team sports, not just football. Derek, you might want to cover your ears for this one. Number 1 on the list, the 1999 St. Louis Rams, 150-1 to win the Super Bowl that season.
That was unique because they had been really bad for a number of years. They had gone to St. Louis. It hadn't gone well. Then they were supposed to have Trent Green was the quarterback. He got hurt, and they had Kurt Warner come in there. And they were like, who's Kurt Warner? Oh, he played arena football? Oh, yeah. What's going on here? And then the next thing you know, they are scoring 40 points a week. Like, they just completely flipped it.
Have you guys heard that Kurt Warner used to bag groceries? Have you heard about this?
No, that can't be true.
Have you seen this?
How many times that year did we hear that? It was unreal.
Did they make a movie about him too?
The Titans. That was the thing. They played the Titans in the regular season, and the Titans beat them in Nashville. And so the stage was set for the rematch all along in the championship game or in the Super Bowl. So you were watching that team every week because of the excitement of that year. So that was, but it was amazing how that team was a juggernaut within 3 or 4 weeks, right? They weren't just easing up. They were ripping people. They were setting the league on fire. I never felt that way with the Seahawks this year. But to their credit, they were piling up wins. I have to say, it was 6 or 8 weeks before I realized how well they were doing, because I'm watching the Rams, the 49ers, like that's the best division, arguably, in football, and they won it, right? Think about how close they were to not winning that division and having to play an extra game along the way.
They had to win that game.
So the 1999 St. Louis Rams at 150-1, the longest preseason odds to win a championship in U.S. pro team sports, followed by the 1991 Minnesota Twins at 80-1, the 2003 Florida Marlins at 75-1, and then a 3-way tie at 60-1, the 2025 Seattle Seahawks, the 2006 Carolina Hurricanes, and the 2001 New England Patriots, all 60-1 odds to win their respective championships.
2006 Carolina Hurricanes, coached by
Peter Laviolette.
Yes.
Some of the other teams on this list, the 2023 Texas Rangers at 50-1, the 1981 San Francisco 49ers at 50-1, the 1987 Minnesota Twins at 50-1, the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles at 40-1, and the 2002 Anaheim Angels at 40-1. 1.
That's pretty good.
So
I can
those are the
remember all those
longest
teams,
odds.
yeah.
Let's go to Bob on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Bob, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a question for D-Mace, but first, as far as Patriots, I think Patriots are going to win the division again next year because Miami and Jets don't think they're going to do anything, and I'm not convinced Brady's going to get the Bills any better. I think they're going to be worse. But over the weekend, a lot of people were talking about Ridley, and this is why I want to ask D-Mace about if we're going to bring Ridley back, and they were like, I'm assuming we're going to take Bain or Bailey for the 4th pick probably, which means we still need a receiver. But they were talking about who are you going to go get on the open market that could be better than Ridley for what we're actually have to pay Ridley. I mean, his contract when we first did it was pretty big, but now compared to what free agents are getting, he's probably a good bargain. And also with his experience and stuff, if we don't bring Ridley back, who do you see us replacing him with that would make the financial sense to do it?
Thank you for the call, Bob. We did talk about this last week.
Yeah,
It
we did.
is an interesting conversation about what the Titans do at number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, and listen, we had to discuss it. I think we even discussed it with TD somewhat. But, at first I thought, he would be one of those veteran cap casualty guys. But the more I got to thinking about it, it's not that he can't play, because he's a really good player. He's just not your number 1 guy. And the caller's right about, the money he's making is not as much now as it was when he first signed it, but still you would ask him to take a pay cut. And I think if he's willing to take a pay cut and he's healthy, I think you give him an opportunity to fall into sort of the place he's in now as a number 2, and maybe draft your number 1, whether that be, and I know people are looking at what Seattle did, and they're like, Bain or the kid out of Texas A&M, we got to get, because that's how you, and I get that part. But if you don't choose to go that way, say you trade out of the pick, get extra picks, you may draft your number 1 guy in the first round. You may have 2 first rounds. You may draft your number 1 guy in the first round. And now that guy slides into the number 1, Ridley slides 2, Ioman is 3, and then DK is your sort of mix of everybody across the board. So you will have a young receiving core with a veteran guy in Ridley.
By the way, the Cowboys are expected to place the franchise tag on George Pickens. That was
28
reported
mil
over the weekend.
Ooh, and he's going to get more than that.
It's a pretty
once they sign a
high-paid
deal.
receiving core there.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would have to. I think if he comes back with a pay cut and he knows he's going to be in a different role, might be worth an experiment. I see them needing that lead dog, but I'm really intrigued by what we found out about Daboll's offense and how well he's used the really good slot guy. And I don't see Ridley as being that guy.
No.
Right? So does he take Iomaner's spot as sort of, because Iomaner's not the real slot guy, I don't see.
Iomaner is an
fit,
outside
right?
guy, I think.
Yeah. So it's the fit is as well. Like what if you're not going to play him in the role he's been in, what's the role? And is it a fit with what they already have and what they need to go get compared to all the needs across the roster, which are a lot?
And but you got to go in knowing if it is a fix, it's a temporary fix.
Right.
Because if you're drafting guys and you developing guys,
you're not going to fix everything this year.
Absolutely. So he would phase out anyway, but he would phase out in a way where you've restructured that contract and you may not take a big hit. So
yeah, and maybe he can resurrect himself.
Exactly, absolutely.
For the next contract.
Yeah.
So if George Pickens is off the market, if he's going to be franchise tagged, the other unrestricted free agent receivers off the top of my head are Romeo Doubs in Green Bay, Jawan Jennings in San Francisco, Christian Kirk, I believe, is a free agent. Alec Pierce, we talked about Alec Pierce in Indianapolis last week. None of those guys really profile, at least to me. Derek, you would know better than I would. None of them profile as number 1 receivers.
Go trade for Puka.
I mean,
you could trade for Puka if you're willing to give up.
What would that cost
They
you?
still hadn't worked out a deal on him, and they're trying to figure out, how to work out a fair deal for he and the organization. But more than likely, he'll stay there. But I'm saying, like, if that's what you're looking for, you got to give up a little bit to get some.
I'm looking at the futures for the 2027 Super Bowl champion, looking at the bottom to see, all right, which team could be the Seahawks for next season. The Commanders, Steelers, and Vikings and Colts are plus 6,000. The Giants are plus 7,000. The Falcons are plus 8,000. The Titans, Saints, Panthers are plus 10,000. The Browns are plus 15,000. Raiders plus 18,000. Jets plus 20,000. Dolphins and Cardinals plus 25,000.
Well, that's a lot. That's a huge odds right there.
One texter says, why root against Vrabel? Why? 2.5 names, Shane Bowen, Todd Downing, and he who shall not be named who coached special teams. That would be Craig Ackerman. One of the pound for pound worst staffs in football those last couple of years.
17-4.
Am I the only one who remembers the ball boy they hired to coach the offensive line as well?
They went 17-4 and they got to the Super Bowl. It just shows you when you play bad in the Super Bowl, it skews your whole season. Like if it's one thing to lose in the Super Bowl in a real close game because it's like, hey, either one, it's a shame. It's a shame somebody had to lose. But when you get clocked in the Super Bowl, you look bad in front of everybody, and everybody points out all your worst traits. They went 17-4.
Yeah,
17 wins. Somebody like Ackerman was doing some good things there. Todd Downing was doing some good things.
I don't think is not there with
Craig Ackerman was not on his staff last season, this season. By the way, the Falcons hired Craig Ackerman to be their special teams coordinator. Ackerman spent last season with the Dolphins.
He's just throwing shade on those guys, even though they weren't even with Vrabel.
Well,
Vrabel had plenty of guys from the Titans.
Todd Downing,
that he brought over.
Todd Downing was on the Patriots staff. Todd Downing was the wide receivers coach for the New England Patriots. Shane Bowen was with the Giants, wasn't he?
I think he did get hired as defensive coordinator with the Giants. He did.
I've got to double check that.
Shane Bowen sitting there in his living room going, what did I do? I didn't do anything.
Shane Bowen was fired in November. Craig Ackerman had nothing to do with the Patriots, but Craig Ackerman will be coordinating special teams for the Atlanta Falcons. So, sorry, Atlanta. 615-737-1025. Teron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Super Bowl and the Titans offseason. 615-737-1025. Register today for Stars Trivia Night at Boomba's in East Nashville on Thursday, February 19th. It will be a night full of fun, food, and prizes, all while supporting Stars Nashville, a nonprofit providing free mental health support for students in over 200 schools across Middle Tennessee. For more details and how to register, visit thegamenashville.com/events.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. If you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. But Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve, and they don't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you and how much it means to you. So they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. And remember, go to predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom Nashville Predator Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team, courtesy of Law Tigers and Music City Indian. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, David Janes here with you. Happy birthday to our very own Willie Donick.
Double
55 years young today. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Teron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter. He is fueled by Parman Energy. You can visit parmanenergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. Hi, TD. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
We're good. Let's just start this way. Your thoughts on Super Bowl 60? Seahawks win 29-13. What's your headline from this game?
I mean, the headlines are defense. You saw what Seattle did, man. The pressure, Devin Witherspoon, I loved him coming out of Illinois, and you saw how he can make a difference early. And I love the attacking style of Seattle's defense. And, you know, when it came time to make a play, Sam Darnold made it. So big-time win for them. Congrats.
What lessons should we, the football watching public, or maybe the Titans, take from the Seahawks season and the rebuild that led to it?
Well, I think the main thing is just block out. So you're saying as a fan, or you're saying just as the organization, like as the team itself?
Let's go with the latter.
Oh, so as the team itself, you know, block out what other people think. You know, everybody said Sam Darnold was going to choke. Everybody said that he wasn't, me included, you know, a championship caliber quarterback, and they blocked it out. They stayed the course, and it wasn't about, you know, proving other people wrong. They just proved themselves right. And I just love the way, again, the attacking style. They really, really went at it defensively. You got Ernest Jones. You got Leonard Williams. You got Reed Woolen. Kobe Bryant played like an animal. I mean, these guys, they all balled throughout the whole group. I mean, Devin Witherspoon. I mean, it goes on and on. That defense, I think that's the lesson that you got to learn, is the defense can win championship, because that's exactly what it did in this case.
And that was going to be my question to UTD, because this, you know how this league is. It goes from one thing to the next. It keeps flip flopping. One minute it's defensive wins championships, then it's next minute is offense. How many points can you score? But looking at what Seattle did last year, it was a blowout. Are the Titans in a position to where they can land that one guy, whether it be via free agency or if they choose to draft a guy, you know, in the first round, a young defensive end? Are they in a position to where the jump, I'm not saying they can jump from, you know, the bottom to the Super Bowl, but that jump is significant enough that it makes getting to the Super Bowl a little bit more tangible?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question, because they need more than just one. You know what I mean? Like, unless you could go back and pull, you know, Lawrence Taylor out of the draft, you're not going to get that exact difference maker. But to your point, though, they could add a few players. Like you look at, you know, the three edge rushers. You look at the corners, right? You look at the receivers, right? And I think, you know, you look at a guy like Colton Hood, you know what I mean, in the second round. You got your lockdown caliber corner. You grab a Reuben Bain in the first, and now that defense suddenly becomes much better. They're not miles away, but they're a few players away. And what happens is, as you know, when you add those few players, others begin to look even better, right? Jeffrey Simmons will begin to look even better. Imagine that, you know, Cedric Gray, healthy the full season, look even better. James Williams playing well. I mean, there's a whole lot that can happen just by adding a couple of good players.
Now, you were down at the Super Bowl, I assume, for most of the week. So you ran into a lot of people. What was the talk, if any, of Cam Ward in particular?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I didn't make it there.
I
didn't make it. No, so I couldn't tell you. But you know, it's clear that Cam Ward is someone that is well thought of across the league. I mean, look at John Harbaugh was considering coaching the Tennessee Titans because of Cam Ward. You know what I mean? So that tells you right there.
Teron Davenport is with us. Teron, the one thing that jumped out at me is how much your whole team can benefit if you've got the 4-man rush that can get to the quarterback without a lot of help. It just seems like a lot of things fall into place. I know so much focus is on the quarterback and can you score and do you have the right guy, all of that. But if you're making a list of things that make up a good team, I would put the 4-man rush up there pretty high. If you can get that, you're going to win some games.
Yeah, I mean, you rush 4, you drop 7. That's all the better in covers. But as you saw yesterday, sprinkling that occasional blitz, it's good. You want to do that, you know what I mean? Because you want to have that attacking mindset, that attacking approach to throw something different. But I mean, yeah, getting home with 4, that's something that you see a lot of the successful defenses do. And when you're able to do that, it helps coverage that much more. And we know this team, like, they need a lot of help coverage wise because they don't have like the top level guys.
Do you see both of these teams being in the picture the next 3-4 seasons?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Sam Darnold still has a whole lot left with him. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a young ascending player, right? And you look at on the other side of it, Mike Vrabel, we know the caliber coach he is, but Drake May, he has to take this as an opportunity to learn and improve upon, because let's face it, he did not have a good playoffs. But you look at just the amount of players that they have, sprinkling some receiver additions. You look at Keyshawn Boutte, a guy who was very talented coming out of LSU. So there's a lot there for them. Travion Henderson, the defense is stacked too, right? We saw Christian Gonzalez yesterday. So, yeah, to answer your question, absolutely, they could stay involved for years to come.
Set the table for the next couple of weeks leading up to when things really start getting going towards the draft here. What are you going to be looking for specifically as you start to gauge what the Titans are going to try to do with their new coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to begin to look at the staff, in their background and try to identify like what players, what prospects, what free agents match the style of play that they want. I'm going to dive into the All-22. We got the catalog there, all the schools, going back through years. So just a lot of film study and just looking at matches and just kind of putting pieces together. And that's pretty much it.
Knowing and studying Robert Saleh's defense, do you think, just tying it back into what we sort of started this conversation with, is I'm wondering what he would envision that front 4 looking like with already Simmons in place, Devondre Sweat, and then if you got the real good edge rusher with the 4th pick, how close they could come to making big strides in that, that ideal 4-man rush.
Yeah, I mean, you just named it, how close they could come. I think the main thing is going to be Devondre Sweat, and just how they're able to get him into this scheme, how they're able to get the scheme into him, so to speak, right? And because that's what good coaches do. They have their way of doing things, but they could adapt when they have a talented player that doesn't necessarily fit the mold. So I think you have that. You can't forget about Femi Oladejo. I think Femi is an ideal Sam. If you go back and you look at the way the old 49ers did under Mike Singletary, now granted, it was a 3-4, but Ahmad Brooks, if you remember Ahmad Brooks, number 55, he played Sam for them. He was, a stand-up as well as hand in the dirt edge defender, and he was really good. And then when they wanted to rush the passer, they would swap him out and they would bring Alden Smith in, and Paris Harrelson, rest in peace. You know what I mean? So I think you could use Femi in that same mold.
I remember around this time last year, we were asking you questions like this, your early preparation for the draft, and you named very early Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. We know where it went from there. If I asked you for, say, 3 names right now, or maybe you can make it 4 since they've got the 4th pick. If you had to throw in your early studies right now, who would be the 4 on your radar?
So it would be Reuben Bain, a real Reese, absolutely. It would also be Bailey, and then I'll put and this is where the toss-up is. You know what I mean? I'll put either. I know there's a certain segment in the building that really likes Carnell Tate, right? But then you look at Jordan Tyson and how well he plays the slot. But then you also got to consider the best slot receiver in this draft class, and that's Mekhi Lemon. So I'm going to go Mekhi Lemon along with the 3 edge guys.
Now, TD, tell me if I'm seeing things or not. Obviously, Kenneth Walker III wins MVP. of the Super Bowl. And I'm watching this kid, Spartan Dog, as well. I'm watching this young man, and I see he's not like, and for people that are automatically going to say no, I watched this guy for 10 years in my home state.
Yep.
He reminds me the balance, the patience, the bouncing off a block of attack. He reminds me of Barry Sanders, Kenneth Walker, in a sense.
Okay.
I'm watching him, and I asked that because he's on the last year of his rookie deal, and he has missed some games throughout his career because of injury. How will he fare if they decide to allow him to test the market? Do you think there will be a lot of suitors? And if that's the case, do you think he would fit the Titans offense? Because he wouldn't come, you wouldn't have to pay him top running back money.
Yeah. As you were describing him and thinking of someone that he reminded you of, I thought you were going to say Le'Veon Bell.
He has the patience of Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. Yes, he does.
And slow to the hole, but exploding through it. That's the classic running back ability. You love to see that. I think, he'll have suitors. And I'm going to tell you why. He's going to have suitors because you got to look at the way a lot of the trends are going, right? And a running back that doesn't fumble much, that runs hard, that has explosiveness, that's valuable to a defensive-minded coach, right? So I definitely think he's going to have value across the board. Where he comes in at, I don't know. But, I mean, you need that type of – if you look, right, look at Brian Daboll and his offenses, right? He's had Devin Singletary. He's had Zach Moss. He's had those types of guys, those big – not big, but those sturdy type of power type of running backs. You know what I mean? And I think when you look at Kenneth Walker, he matches that. But then at the same time, like, okay, do you want to spend that money on that type of on what he brings? You know what I mean? I would say yes, because he brings championship caliber to you. But I'll give you another name late in the draft to watch out for. That's Rasul Faison out of South Carolina. And he's a guy, he won running back of the week at the Senior Bowl. He's someone that he reminds me just his contact balance and like how difficult it is to knock him down. This one aspect, he reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara.
Teron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter, has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He is fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. TD, great stuff as always. We'll catch up next week.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you, guys.
Yep.
How much money do you think Kenneth Walker is going to get on average in his next contract?
What's the top running back making now? Le'Veon or Christian McCaffrey? I mean, not Le'Veon, but Saquon.
I'll have to double check.
And keep this in mind. Remember the guy for the I think there's two. The defensive back. There's a couple defensive backs that were heroes of the Super Bowl. The guy for the Cowboys who intercepted Neil O'Donnell a couple times. Larry Brown, I think.
Larry Brown.
And then there was the guy
out of Tampa. Tampa.
Had the big
the defensive back.
It's like when you do that on the big stage, it's like the opposite of
but
when you
he's been good.
Right. Walker's been good. So I would think there's an extra an extra 0 or 2 on the check because he's coming off this great game.
A Super Bowl
you saw him at his best, right?
If I'm reading this correctly via Spot Track, you'll never guess which running back has the highest projected cap hit in 2026.
Wow. Derrick Henry?
No.
Man. I don't know. Christian McCaffrey?
This says Alvin Kamara.
It might be.
Alvin Kamara at roughly $18.6 million.
Cap gymnastics as well as anybody. I think that's the result of that, right? Just pushing the rock down the hill a little bit, just kicking the can.
So who's in the top 5?
According to Spot Track, the 2026 running back cap hit rankings: Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Kyren Williams.
What is Kyren Williams?
11.645.
I can see close to that because the problem with Kenneth Walker is he's not a good pass receiving running back. Hell of a runner, but if you're asking him, he's sort of like a smaller version of Derrick Henry without all of the massive power, because Derrick was known as a runner, not a pass catcher. That's how they see Kenneth Walker, more so of a runner than a guy you can have a 3-down back, that can catch pass out the backfield.
That seems off to me. I
What's
know that Kamara has the highest cap hit among running
What
backs.
are they getting paid per year?
I'll look into
Yes.
that. 615-737-1025. Maybe I clicked the wrong tab, but we'll see. 615-737-1025. I will do that research during the break and have a more definitive answer for you. But coming up next, an odd weekend in college basketball, and nothing happened. Nothing happened that upset me at all in college basketball this weekend. So let's talk about Tennessee and Vanderbilt. And I actually do have a Duke, North Carolina take that I do want to get off my chest. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hoosier switches onto him. Dixon the kick. Trimble! Got it! And Carolina wins it!
I quit. What happened? I quit.
What happened?
I don't actually quit. Chase, if you're listening, I don't actually quit.
What happened?
What's wrong with that? It's a great
Exactly.
college basketball game.
It was a very
Exactly. That's a
basketball.
great game.
Who was that? A buzzer beater. Who was playing?
Exactly. It had to be a great game. It had to be a great game.
What happened?
Team that just won off that buzzer beater.
Man,
That's an insane
congratulations to
game.
whoever that
Exciting.
team was.
College basketball, so exciting.
Exactly.
It's the best.
The best.
I hate all of you. We will get to Carolina and Duke in just a moment because I do have
Hey, you
thought.
won your pick. You won your pick.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There
serves you right.
I have-
Picking against your team.
Exactly.
No, I
You picked
have,
against your team.
I have watched
Yes, you did.
enough of those games to know that 5.5 on the road, that's way too much.
I'm never picking against my Spartans.
That's right. I will
Never.
never do it. Never
Ever.
picked against your
Never.
team.
You know what? I go with my head
You're just like Chris.
and not my heart on that. I nailed Take It to the Bank last week. I think I got all of my picks minus the specific score prediction. So I'm just saying, we will get to that in just a moment.
Mhm.
But let's focus here first before we get to that. Vanderbilt lost 92-91 at home to Oklahoma. The Sooners snap a 9-game losing streak in beating the Commodores at Memorial Gym. Tyler Tanner did all he could to win that game for the Commodores. 37 points for Tyler Tanner, but it wasn't enough for the Commodores. Also, the award for the most confusing team in the country must go to Kentucky. I do not understand the Wildcats. They beat Tennessee 74-71 at Rupp Arena. And just when you think you've got the Wildcats figured out, when you think they're zigging, they actually zag. Remember, they got blown out by Vanderbilt, a couple of weeks ago? They go on the road and beat Arkansas. They beat Tennessee at home. So the SEC, Willie, I know I said this last week, but I'm having a hard time getting a read on this conference.
So it's never dull. And Kentucky is now won 8 out of 9. So the Vanderbilt game was the one blip. And, you take that one away, they've been on a really good roll for Kentucky. But Vanderbilt, when I watched them beat Ole Miss, I was a little concerned because I thought that they were beatable in that game. And then they had the week off. I was hoping that would heal them up and maybe they would get either Miles or Collins or both back for that game on Saturday. And it didn't happen. And I honestly, I did not see enough of the game to tell you exactly what went wrong in that one. But giving up 92 to Oklahoma on your court, that's just not enough. I mean, that's too much to ask. They fell behind by 21. They got it down. They lose by 1. Tanner hit the shot at the very last second to cut it to 1, but the clock was expired. But they got within 2 with 5 seconds left, so they did a good job of not quitting. But their flaws have been exposed here, and I do think they need some reinforcements.
They miss Duke Miles.
They do need Miles back because Tanner is having to do so much right now, and he's an unbelievable player. But he benefits with having more weapons around him. When they're at their best, they've always got 5 guys on the court who can make a play. I am concerned about them giving up this many points, though, on the defensive end.
I think we had this conversation about Vandy either early in the season, it may have been early in the season, or last season.
About their length?
It's the length, yes, but this sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it was this season where they get into these lulls and they allow teams to come back, and it's like they're playing undisciplined basketball. They're turning the basketball over. You don't see those hustle plays, and it usually happens at the beginning, at the end of the first half and the end of the second half where they're up and they're holding on to a lead. Well, they got their fannies kicked in the first half.
Yeah.
Flat out. Oklahoma out-hustled them, out-rebounded. They were knocking down shots. Vandy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. it was bad for Vandy. But the good part about it was they came back and they played really good basketball the second half. Everything ramped up. Tanner exploded in the second half. But you had dug yourself such a deep hole in the first half that no matter what you did, as long as Oklahoma sort of went tit for tat with you, you were not going to win that game. They just couldn't do enough. And maybe missing Duke Miles is hurting them because now all of it, Tanner is truly the scorer. I know Tyler's there. Not Tyler, but
Tyler Nickel.
Yeah, Tyler Nickel. I know he's there, and he shot well. He shot okay this past weekend, but he's not Duke Miles. Duke Miles creates his own shot, and he's sort of a guard that plays this sort of like bully basketball, and he sets the tempo. And
he gets fouled a lot.
Exactly.
Like he just puts pressure on a defense because he's gonna rack up the fouls on the opposition. He can create alongside. Yeah, so they're it's catching up to them, even though they did beat Kentucky without him, which is a great feather in their cap.
Tennessee, Willie, I would love to know what you think the ceiling for the Vols is. Again, they lost 74-71 to Kentucky. Nate Ament had 29 points. He's a great scorer. Though the one difference to me, and I believe I heard Joe Rexroad say this morning, is this Tennessee team versus Tennessee teams of the recent past, maybe not the best defensively. I'm wondering what you think the Vols ceiling could be in the tournament, which is not that far off.
It's interesting. Their KenPom rating for defense is still really good, 16. But it shows you the standard because they've been top 3, top 5,
right?
Maybe even number 1 when they've been at their best. It's a Rick Barnes staple. So when you say they're not quite as good on D, that's accurate, but they're still relative to the country.
Yes, it's a high standard.
Pretty good. But it is something that's I think fascinating about this year's SEC. It's not quite as full of aces in the league, but there's still a lot of really good teams, and there's matchup stuff that goes on too. I think certain teams match up with other teams well, and vice versa. So a team could look really good because they just happen to have what works well against the weakness of another good team in the league. That's the only thing I can think of, because different teams are structured differently. So that's a messy way of answering the question, but I see a lot of teams that if they get the right draw in March could make a great run, but those same teams, if they get the wrong draw, could lose in the first round.
By the way, Vanderbilt's next 2 games at
Tough.
Auburn tomorrow, home to Texas A&M on Saturday. And we've got 2 Vanderbilt, Tennessee basketball games to look forward to. The first one, February 21st at Memorial Gym, then March 7th in Knoxville. Yes, Derek.
No, I was going to Tennessee, this is a good team. At least I believe. I don't think they've reached. I think they have more to give. What is it? Felix Okpara? Okpara. Yeah. Did he get injured or did he get in foul trouble? Because he only played 11 minutes. And when I picked up on the game, he was not in the game, period. And he was on the sideline, and I didn't catch quite what they were saying about him. I thought they said he didn't play. So I'm thinking like that's why UT is having trouble with Kentucky because he's not playing. But he did actually play. He must have gotten in foul trouble, like got hurt and wasn't able to finish the game because he only played 11 minutes. But I think UT has the talent. It's just it seems like Coach Barnes it's always going off about something about his team. The lack of them doing something. So either they're going to pick it up, or because of the SEC is so strong, you could be a good team and still find yourself in a position where you're fighting to get a berth in the playoffs or in the tournament.
It's just so interesting year in and year out when you have basically a new team. This Tennessee team is completely different when you look at players. There's just very few guys.
Right. No Ziegler. No Lanier. No Meshack, right? Is Milicic still on the team or no?
Nope.
No.
But that freshman,
It's a
Nate,
lot of
Nate
different
Amen,
guys.
he's pretty
Yeah.
good, man. He
Amen-
came into his own in
Ament
that, in
is a
that
talent.
game.
He is, but
Against Kentucky.
I don't know. I don't know if the Vols ceiling, like, it would not shock me if the Vols are a round of 32 exit in the NCAA tournament. All right, let me get to my take on Carolina Duke. Carolina wins 71-68 on a buzzer beater from Seth Trimble. Carolina's first lead of the game, by the way. Very painful evening in the Vingan household. I did not subject my wife or son to having to watch that anywhere close to me. Here's my opinion on this. And I want to be clear about a couple of things. One, generally, I am not anti-court storming. I do believe that court storming or field storming in football is a part of the fabric of college athletics. I've got no problem with that. This is not anything about the behavior of students or anything like that. I'm not talking about that. That's a separate discussion. Here's my opinion, and I want to know what y'all think. Ranked teams should not court storm after defeating other ranked teams, even if it is an arch rival. And I think there should be an act like you've been there clause. North Carolina is one of the winningest programs in college basketball history. This is far from the first time that North Carolina has beaten Duke or a higher ranked Duke team. So to me, I say this as respectfully as I can. I think North Carolina fans are above court storming. Derek, your Spartans won a great overtime game over the weekend at home against Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Spartans fans rush the floor?
Hey, I can't speak for Carolina. My fans, Spartan fans are we the stuff. Okay, we don't need to storm the court.
I think Michigan State falls into the act like you've been there before club. I will allow for one carve out.
Mm-hmm.
If the team that you beat is the number one team in the country, for example, tonight there is a fantastic game. Number 1 Arizona, number 1 undefeated Arizona at number 9 Kansas. If Kansas defeats Arizona, I think Jayhawks fans can storm the court. Arizona,
but will they though? That's the question. Like on that court, my thought is like nobody comes into this court and wins, like at Fog Island Fieldhouse. Like I think that's the mentality, and I do side with you on this. If Duke were number 1 and North Carolina were a 15 or 20 point underdog or something, I could see it where nobody thought they were going to win. But they honestly didn't think when they came to that building that they were going to win that game against their rival. That is a weird, that to me is not a court storming moment in my mind.
Okay.
I realize Carolina's been down a little bit by their standards for the last couple of years, right? They haven't been.
Duke won all 3 games in the season series last season.
Yeah.
But if you're a blue blood, you should not storm the court.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Let the kids be kids. Only thing I didn't like was in that guy, they're going to catch you. They're going to catch you. Cameras are everywhere, people, especially in these arenas and these field houses. They're going to catch you. Hell, I saw you throw it. You are not going to be allowed in another game again. So let's get that out of the way because some idiot did throw a bottle or something at one of the coaches or players, and I think it did hit him. So your tail will not be at another game again because everybody sees your face. But beside that, let these kids be kids, man. Listen, they had not been leading the game the whole game.
Correct.
Nothing was going their way.
Their first lead was with 0.4
Exactly.
seconds.
When it seemed like they were making a run, Duke squashed it. And they just had their head in a puddle of water the whole game. And when they finally get that breath, they rear back. You know how those movies, you remember Back to the Future, when he revved back and he finally just swung and hit him, pow, knocked him out, did a 360 fail, boom. I bet if in Back to the Future there was a crowd around, everybody would have rushed over to Michael J. Fox, the dad, and be like, yes, you did it. That's what it was Saturday. He hit it wasn't like it was 4 seconds left on the clock once he hit. Everybody wants to hit that shot. All those kids in that stadium, in that arena, they thought they were him. They felt that shot go down with nothing. That's what you dream about, isn't it?
It is.
Hitting that last shot. And what do?
Right.
Crowd come and jump on you. That's all it was. So I'm cool with it. I'm all right with it, Adam. I'm sorry. If Duke had done it, Adam, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with Duke doing it.
You do have to love the backlash on Duke. Duke knows they're getting it. Like Shire's got to know it's coming. He tries to get I can't believe one of my coaches got punched.
Woe is me.
Yeah, right. But
woe is me.
he can't win. He can't win because
Same
it's
thing
Duke.
happened. Same thing happened a few years ago. Duke lost at Wake Forest, and Kyle Filipowski got injured during the court storm, and fans were like, Filipowski started it. He put his leg out there. He was trying to trip the student. It's his fault. Like, yeah, you're never
Didn't
gonna
really
win.
get hurt either.
He was fine.
He kind of played it up like, oh,
well, see now that's your Duke bias showing.
Right.
That's your Duke
He
bias
really wasn't
showing.
hurt. He really wasn't hurt. I understand him saying, hey, y'all shouldn't run out here.
Right.
But
Be
he
careful.
really wasn't hurt. Yeah.
I know. Nobody has any
several times.
no pity for me. Let's go to Jared in Spring Hill on our phone line. Jared, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
I think we're downplaying the importance now of college athletes. I mean, this isn't. I disagree with all court. I disagree on all court stormings 100%. I mean, even if they're number one and you're far out, I don't agree with it. And it wasn't going to take one of these $10 million players to get hurt in a court storming, and then who's at fault? The university? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. At some point, we got to protect these college athletes from these hooligans and like let kids be kids. Well, kids are kind of dumb, which is why we need school. So let's just kind of like keep them on a leash, protect your athletes. You have to be able to protect them, and if you can't, who's going to be at fault for if they have a season-ending injury? Who's going to be at fault of the contract? So
Thank you for the call, Jared. Yeah, that's
Listen.
That's a good.
I
good
get
point.
it. I get it. But the essence of basketball, the one shiny moment, all of that stuff.
You sound like Willie talking about unity and friendship.
It's nothing without court storming. Nothing without court storming. And I get the caller protecting the players. You're right. That's why they did implement. And I will give it to Carolina
45
fans.
seconds.
Yeah, I do give it to Carolina fans. They did wait at first because they were trying to figure out, well, did we win? And after a while, because they didn't say anything. So after a while, they were like, okay, let's storm the court. So I would put that more so on the refs. They should have said, ho, ho, ho. They should have announced right away, we are reviewing the call. But they didn't. They left everybody in ambiguity. It was just like, well, should we storm? Should we not? Then they finally stormed it. So they did abide by the rules and then nobody didn't say anything. So they figured, we waited our 45 seconds. Let's go. And they did.
We'll see what happens next month, March 7th.
Oh, yeah.
North Carolina at Duke, part 2. 615-737-1025. You guys can be mean to me on the text line if you want. There were a couple of people who were mean to me on social media as soon as the shot went up on Saturday. So it's all right. No pity for me. I get it. It comes with the territory. But coming up next, some major news over the weekend in the Predators GM search. We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Some interesting news broke over the weekend regarding the Predators' general manager search. So, as you may recall last week, when the Predators announced that Barry Trotz is retiring as GM, the Predators also announced that they had hired the agency CAA to assist them in their search for their next GM. But there were concerns that the Predators using CAA to help find their next GM would represent a conflict of interest. The team said last week that they were in compliance with whatever rules there were, but as reported first by Sports Business Journal over the weekend, the Predators will no longer use CAA for their GM search. The Predators put out a statement, quote, CAA leadership informed us that they believed it would be in everyone's best interest to recuse the company at this time from our search for a general manager. CAA has been working hard up until this point, and we appreciate all the work put into the search, but we understand and respectively accept the decision. We will continue to move forward with a comprehensive search process to find the next hockey operations leader for the Nashville Predators, making sure we identify and interview all of the best candidates. The team also told the Tennessean that the GM search would now be conducted internally. So I don't know how big of a deal this really is. The optics aren't great. A lot of people were dunking on the Predators over the weekend. But Willie, we talked about this last week with Elliot Freeman. You see this all the time in other sports. But for whatever reason, the NHL Players Association seemed to have a hang-up with the Predators using the highest profile agency to help them conduct their GM search.
Yeah, and I wish I had better info on the whys of this. I do think it boils down to that I think hockey is very traditional, and it seems like that was something was going on. But what I would like to know is when the Predators first went to CAA and CAA said, yes, let's do it. Where was the pushback then? How did it get all the way to where it did, where they actually started the process before somebody threw up a red flag?
It seemed like the PA, realized what was good, because this is, to my knowledge, I think the PA is who brought this grievance
right
to the forefront. But here's my thing, and listen, everybody that listens to this station, and we have a lot of people, y'all know that I am a conspiracy theorist. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. And I am a proud conspiracy theorist. Now, I don't go too far, but I stay in my lane. CAA said, you know what? We're not going to deal with the headache. We just going to recuse ourselves. We're going to step back. And then we hear, well, we're going to do our own internal search for the GM. Who is Uncle Saban employee? Who is his agent?
Jimmy Sexton.
Where does Jimmy Sexton work, right?
What? CAA.
Okay. That's how you get around. That's my conspiracy theory here. That's how you get around that. Because if we keep it in-house and we don't hire another firm, we still got the ear of CAA. We still can, hey, what do you think? And there still can be some type of dialogue, but CAA did the smart thing. We're going to step back away from the table because we don't want to muddy the waters. We get it. We understand that the minute the Players Association got into it, it was like, that's not a battle we're going to fight. We're just going to step back. But Saban, he's a client of theirs, and he's a big client of theirs. He was going to be leaned on anyway. So you still can use CAA in a way. That's just me being a conspiracy theorist.
I don't know how you would stop it from
that's all
being a part of it. And that is part of what I didn't understand at the get-go is just how many branches CAA has out there. I knew Nick Saban and Jimmy Sexton were part of it, but there's a whole hockey branch. Read off the names that CAA represents of the greatest hockey players in the game right now.
There's some good ones, too.
You'll have to give me a minute.
Yeah, you can pull it up. And there's also non-sports
Yeah.
people being. I mean, it's music people are represented by CAA.
They're huge.
It's a huge thing. So, like, how does hockey think that they're just going to not have this come up? Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of much ado about nothing. I don't see where the conflict of interest is going to break the bank. But at the same time, I think I've always feel like you can find a good GM on your own. If you do a good search with your people, you should be able to find a good GM without the help of CAA.
Some of the players represented, by CAA. Nathan McKinnon, Elias Pettersson, Seth Jones, Sidney Crosby, Luke Hughes, Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson, Philip Forsberg, David Pastrnak, Matt Barzal, Dougie Hamilton, Evgeny Malkin, Adrian Kempe. A lot of very, very, very good hockey players.
And as Elliot pointed out,
CAA.
On the surface, the conflict of interest, right? In theory, a GM could be working for CAA, and Philip Forsberg is represented for CAA. Could that be something that is a problem, or other people feeding CAA? Maybe, but in other sports, this happens, right? As Elliot has pointed out. So it was just a matter of time, I think, before this came up. So I don't get the big deal, but somewhere in there, they all sort of decided, okay, look,
it's not worth the trouble.
It's not worth the trouble. And as you said, Derek, you can proceed and maybe still get the aid of CAA behind the scenes without crossing the line.
I do have a question that may upset a certain section of Predators fans based on the conversations we had early last week when the news of Barry Trotz's retirement first broke. Now that CAA is out of the picture, does this increase the likelihood of an internal hire?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they have a pretty broad scope of what they want to do, and I don't think that will change based on this.
And I think that's what it was. Like, you're representing, and it happens in other sports, but you're representing like GMs so you're going to be looking to push GMs that are clients of yours rather than, say, like the guys that are there now that you talk to somebody else. Yeah. So you got the same firm that may have 2 or 3 GMs. You're using them to look for your GM, which means they think you're gonna automatically look in-house, basically.
Yeah, I don't really think this is a huge deal. Like, I don't think the Predators have egg on their face because of this. I know a lot of people, as I said over the weekend, as people were reacting to the report from Sports Business Journal, were like, "Oh, look at the Predators! They can't even start their GM search right." And it's a weird story, but as we all just said, I think the Predators and CAA just decided, look, it's too much of a headache to make this work. Let's just not do it and move on, and we'll see what happens with the Predators GM search. Barry Trotz, as we discussed last week, will remain in that role until his successor is found. And we will talk at some point this week about Olympic hockey because it starts this week. And if the Four Nations face-off was any indication last season, there's going to be a lot of interest in the Olympic hockey during these winter games. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, the Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl 60 champions. Well, maybe not your, but they are the Super Bowl 60 champions. What lessons should we take from the season that the Seahawks just had in the rebuild that led to it? We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
live on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
This Game Center update is brought to you by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky. Just a short 30-minute drive from Nashville in Franklin, Kentucky. This is Dave James, your Game Center update. The Seattle Seahawks defeated the New England Patriots 29-13. Running back and Memphis native Kenneth Walker III wins Super Bowl MVP with 27 carries for 135 yards rushing. This is the second Super Bowl in the Seahawks franchise's history and the third appearance in the last 13 seasons. ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport joined DVD to discuss.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A very happy birthday to our very own Willie Donick. What's on the docket tonight for your 55th birthday?
Double
easy for me to say. 55th birthday celebration.
Well, it's going to be a little surprise, supposedly.
Ooh, do you like surprises?
My daughter Evans is leading a brigade of fun people to go to dinner somewhere. Just not telling me where.
So you're aware that there is a surprise.
Yeah, there's going to be a gathering.
You just don't know what the surprise entails.
Are you going like that, Willie, or are you
no,
going to some digs, some real good digs?
Pick it up a little bit.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Are you criticizing Willie's fashion choice?
No, I'm saying he's in his work clothes. Yeah, he's representing the
station,
station. Yeah.
And he can still represent the station wherever he goes for his birthday dinner.
Well, I think he'll wear something.
He needs to dress up just a little bit for his birthday dinner.
Spruce it up a little bit.
Exactly.
How about a cummerbund?
All right, now the Duke's coming out right
We're
now.
just gonna come. We're gonna fall short of that, but we're gonna have
Just
enough
wear your 1025 the game quarter zip and just get a
with a
cummerbund.
cummerbund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think his daughter would appreciate it.
How
but
about one of those T-shirts that looks like a tuxedo?
a tuxedo T-shirt?
It just shows that he likes to party.
Yeah.
And he's fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wear a sport coat. A sport coat over the tuxedo.
The sport
T-shirt.
coat's getting a break. I mean, we've been.
Oh, you're okay. Okay.
The
Yeah,
I
Willie's-
get it. I get
Willie's
it.
off
I
for
get it.
3
games
weeks.
I'm
Willie's
trying
off
to-
for 3 weeks.
Trying to give those a break.
You don't wear a
Wow.
quarter zip?
It could be. Could
Okay,
be.
okay.
I'll consult you later,
Okay,
D-Mace.
all right,
Your
cool,
fashion. I want to
cool.
look good, so I
Okay.
might consult you.
All right,
We
cool.
need one
I
of
won't be
those-
calling Adam after that cummerbund crack.
Exactly.
That's fair. That's fair.
We need one of those movie montages where you try on lots of different outfits and Derek
Right,
and I
right.
go, no,
right. And then
And then at the
Finally
end,
you come out,
yeah.
Oh man.
You
might
take
be
off
like that.
You take off your glasses and you look like a completely different person.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Willie?
because he can't see himself.
Oh man. All right. Super Bowl 60 last night. It was a game. That's about as much as I can say about it.
was.
Seahawks defeat the Patriots 29-13 in Super Bowl 60. So, as I was watching the game, and there were various points where I was sort of zoning in and out because for most of the game, quite frankly, it was unentertaining. But with the Seahawks now capturing the championship, it's time to look at what lessons we can take from the Seahawks season and the rebuild that led to it. And this is how I don't want to start. I don't want to start, well, you got to find a good quarterback. No, duh. Well, you got to draft well. Again, duh. I'm looking at the way they play. I'm looking at some of the decisions they made roster-wise. I want to get a little bit deeper than, well, you need to have a good quarterback and you need to draft well. So, Willie, as you watched the Seahawks last night, what was the one thing that stood out to you that you're hoping the Titans can somehow replicate as they attempt to get back to being competitive again?
The first thing that I thought of was how when you can get to the quarterback with 4 guys, so many other things automatically fall in place. It makes so many other levels better. Take Ernest Jones, who was playing for the Rams. He got traded to the Titans. He was okay for the Titans. No great shakes. When they traded him to the Seahawks, where we're like,
Yes.
what are they doing? I can't believe they did that. It was a little puzzling because they
They had
traded
just
for him to
traded-
begin
yeah,
with.
Exactly.
So I'm not really sure what they were thinking, but he has been a great fit. He just fits well with that defense. So it's great recognition by the Seahawks. But it all comes down to when you can get to the QB with 4, things fall into place. So that was the first thing. And then they're not a traditional, hey, they had to go pay their dues. They were bad for 3 or 5 years and they had to build back up. They were really good at changing on the fly. If you go back to the end of the Russell Wilson era where they traded him, and then the Geno Smith thing, which was not a bad pickup, right? Geno Smith was resurrected by the Seahawks, but they weren't satisfied. So they're like, let's trade Geno Smith. And they bring in Sam Darnold, and he's the right guy for the right team. So there's so many facets of it that came together, but it's a great team to study because it shows you how you can retool. You don't have to go through a full rebuild in the NFL. And that's always been the Mike Vrabel. You don't rebuild in the NFL, even though you can, but it doesn't always mean that you have to.
Same question, Derek. What did you take away from the Seahawks season, and what should the Titans look to replicate first or most?
I think most importantly, you got to find an identity. I think Seattle coming in having an identity as a team. There was a culture there that was built by Mike McDonald, their first year head coach. And, this is what, Jeffrey Simmons was talking about when that question was asked of him, even before they started the head coaching search. He mentioned the culture. It needs to be changed, or it needs to be reestablished. I'm gonna use that word. So first and foremost, I think what you can learn from Seattle is you must build a culture and a way of playing, both offensively and defensively, that one travels and that doesn't change. Whether you're winning by 20 or you're trying to come back, and you're down 7, it doesn't matter. We have a way of playing this game. We have a culture built. That's why Mike Vrabel is able to win early, because he gets those guys to buy in. Now, he has his own other issues, but that is one of the things. Like, if you can get a team, it happened with John Harbaugh when he first got to Baltimore. When you can get a team and you can reestablish that culture, it means a lot. You may not even have the best team, but everybody believing in the same thing and working hard toward that goal, and you got some good players. They don't have to be the best, but you have a good team. That will take you a long way. So to me, that's what you need to learn. Because if you don't have that and just a bunch of good players, you're going to have a team that's missing the playoffs each and every, good enough, but not good enough to make the playoffs.
That Russell Wilson trade really started this whole process for the Seattle Seahawks. They got 2 first-round picks in that deal. They took Charles Cross and Devin Witherspoon in that deal. I know we were just talking about you got to draft well. Well, 13 of the Seahawks' 22 starters began their careers in Seattle, including all 5 members of their offensive line. That's impressive to me. The Seahawks have drafted well. They've made smart trades. Rashid Shaheed was an outstanding find for them, which made me sad because he started with the Saints. But Shaheed was awesome for them. And the other thing, too, about Willie and how the Seahawks attack defensively, I saw friend of the station, Paul Kaharski, put this out, that the sort of pass pressure that Robert Saleh hopes to deploy won the past 2 Super Bowls. The Eagles do it the same way, or at least they did at that time. If I remember correctly, the Eagles got a ton of pressure on Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl without blitzing a single time, if I recall that correctly. So perhaps Robert Saleh can bring that element to Tennessee, but you need the horses to do it. You've got Jeffrey Simmons. You hope it's Tavondre Sweat. You could add someone such as Ruben Bain with the 4th overall pick in the draft. I heard Teron Davenport mention Femi Oladejo. You've got to get the right players in place, but at least Saleh will try to play the same way. You need the players, but at least that's what his
and much like
scheme is.
And Saleh comes in after they had to take a couple years to really reconstruct the offensive line. Not that it's great, but the foundation is there now for them to have. You go into the season next year without thinking, oh man, this is a disaster on the offensive line. You've got hope that you've gotten it reasonably taken care of to some degree. And then I agree. They're not, if they used for the edge rusher with the 4th pick, I could see a front 4 that could turn into something for the first time in a long time. Right?
Yeah.
It's been a while since they've had that. They're really good teams. They were good rushing the passer, but it was still kind of a weakness, right? When they were winning the divisions, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
remember they brought
Jarrell
in Clowney
Casey was
and
a part
they
of
brought
it
in
for a
what was
minute.
the guy from the Falcons that was a complete disaster that they threw some money at.
Beasley.
Vic Beasley, yeah. They tried, but it was not ferocious.
It was solid. It was good enough, and the back end was good, led by Kevin Byard. Really good. So they have to find a way as they build this team, because it's harder. I think it's harder to sort of get both sides of the ball equally growing at the same time, especially when you have a young team. Because in the perfect world, you draft 4 offensive guys, or you draft 3 offensive guys, 3 defensive guys, and they all work out and they sort of grow together. But we know that's not the case. they got to find a way to, as they're building this team, something has to hit. One side of the ball has to hit, because if the defensive side of the ball hits, usually that's what happens. The defense sort of comes on before the offense. They can sustain until the offense gets to where they're going fully. It happened with us and here in Tennessee. For a while, the defense was carrying us. And then we sort of kicked it into gear. And now we became more of a balanced team, offensively, defensively, special teams. That's where Seattle is right now. That's where New England hope to be, because they have a defense. Their special teams good. They just need their offense to consistently pick it up. And listen, they played well during the season, but listen, when you get in the playoffs, it's totally different. You have to have an offense that can score some points, because you're going to go against some very good defenses. And the Titans got to figure out how to. It seems they have a head start with the defense, because they had Jeff, they got Tavondre, they got Cedric Gray, some guys on the defensive side of the ball that I think are really good players, led by Jeffrey Simmons. But if they can get that defensive side of the ball this season to play at a top 7 level across the board, it will help the offense develop, because now I don't have to develop as fast.
Another guy that they traded, to some people's surprise, was DK Metcalf, right? That was a pretty bold move. Seattle has made some bold trades, some bold moves. I think there are probably some franchises that would have rode Russell Wilson into the sunset, right? Just take him as long as he can play. Let's give him the lifetime contract. Let's just play. But they were pretty progressive with that, and with Metcalf, there's even to a degree with Geno Smith, turning it over until they got it right. So I don't think anybody can always do it the same way, but it is interesting. Mike Sando took a crack at sort of looking at the commonalities between Philadelphia and Seattle. There were some common things, right?
Pass rush.
And the pass rush is the common thing. If you have a dominant pass rush and a good offensive line, it takes some of the pressure off of, do you have the, quote, franchise quarterback?
The Seahawks spent the 4th most money in free agency last season. The Patriots were first. The Seahawks were in the top 5. The difference between the two was Seattle spent the majority of that money on 3 players: Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, and DeMarcus Lawrence. The rest of their free agent signings were smaller, but they found 3 players in 3 major positions of need, and they were willing to spend for those players.
They felt that they were a player away. And once they got Sam Darnold, it was like, okay, all right. So then it went to, okay, what else do we possibly need? Because we got our quarterback now. So they go get these 2 other individuals that they have to pay money for. But in their mind, they already had a team that was still right there. Like they can compete for a Super Bowl. They just need the right players, not a bunch of them, but just a few. They got Sam Darnold, DeMarcus Lawrence,
Cooper Kupp.
And even though Cooper Kupp didn't play a big role like in a season, that veteran leadership that he's been there before. He's won a championship.
And he's a good blocker. I know you love blocking wide receivers, Derek.
Yes.
He's a good blocker.
And he's a good blocker. Yeah, okay. But anyway, they went in there and added those, veteran guys that still has something left. And those guys were able to contribute, to what they were doing, and then winning the championship. But that you got to take your hat off to that defense, because that defense was just outstanding.
But I would point out that the free agents, even though Darnold was a big one, are still kind of the icing on the cake, right? They
drafted incredibly well.
Shrewd trades, shrewd drafting.
Yes.
That gets you most of the way there, and then you add the 1 or 2 pieces that you need.
So my question for the both of you is, based on that point, Willie, with the Titans having all of this money to spend this offseason, do you think it would be a better use of those resources to do what the Patriots did, which was sort of flood the zone, right? They tried to spend as much money as they could on as many players as they could to raise their floor. Or do you take the Seahawks approach where you pinpoint 2 or 3 players and you devote the majority of your resources to those players? The Titans may have to choose the Patriots model because they have a lot more holes on their roster than the Seahawks did when they went shopping last year. But I'm curious which method you think would be better for the Titans.
The Patriots had, I think, 30 new players, which is a really high number. Now, the free agents, they spent, and Sando points this out, they spent pretty big on the 4 guys, right? And one of them was Landry once he got cut. One of them was the offensive lineman.
They took Stephon Diggs.
Diggs was another one,
Right.
and I forget who the fourth guy was.
Milton Williams,
Yeah.
the
Defensive tackle.
The defensive
Yes.
tackle.
So that was the bulk of their free agency, but 30 new players. I mean, that's a lot of guys.
Robert Spillane,
Yeah.
and Jack Gibbons, the whole crew, the whole Titans crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Austin Hooper.
Yeah, get them all. I think both can work. I think both can work, but what is sustainable? That's the thing. I think if you flood the zone and you don't develop, that's not sustainable. I think what Seattle's doing is they are developing, but they are also getting guys that can still play, veteran guys. Sam Darnold, he can play for the next 5, 6, 7 years. DeMarcus Lawrence, Cooper Kupp, who maybe have another year left in him.
He'll be 33 next season.
So maybe they bring him back for another year. But their thing and their mentality isn't to flood the zone. It's to develop this roster, but let's pick out a position where if we plug it with the right guy, that's like an energy boost. That's a boost for us. We don't have to flood the zone. We just got to plug in the right spark that can give us that boost. And Darnold was the right spark for a team that without him probably would have made the playoffs, but they would have been fighting for the playoffs. And if they got in, they would have probably end up losing in the first round. But they got that spark plug, and then they added another one and another one. All right, we're ready to go. Flood the zone. Yeah, that may work this year, but a lot of these guys they're older guys, and injury and whatever sets in. And now if you're not developing underneath, yeah, we may be able to win this past season and maybe next year, but what's after that?
615-737-1025. What lessons should the Titans take from the Seahawks season and the rebuild that led to it? 615-737-1025. There is another element of the Seattle Seahawks. The Titans have something in common with the Seahawks in this regard. We'll discuss that next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Match Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. If you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or nothing at all. But Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve, and they don't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike and your gear means to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. And don't forget, once again, Predators, go to predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom Nashville Predator Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team, courtesy of Law Tigers and Music City Indian. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Happy birthday to you, Willie Donick. Still no cummerbund. We'll get you one before your birthday dinner.
There you go.
So we're talking Super Bowl, of course. Seattle wins. It was a bludgeoning, a pummeling, whatever fancy word you want to use. Where's my bell? There we go. There we go. It wasn't really close. And we're talking about the lessons that the Titans can take from the Seahawks season. Here's a really fascinating anecdote, or at least I find it fascinating, and I hope that you all do as well. From The Athletic, McDonald is the first head coach, Mike McDonald, that is the first head coach to serve as the primary defensive play caller for a Super Bowl champion. Defensive-minded head coaches had won only 10 of the previous 30 championships, none since 2018, and Bill Belichick accounted for 6 of those. I know a team that has a head coach who's also going to be the primary defensive play caller.
One, Tennessee Titans.
But isn't it fascinating that it's that imbalanced, especially if you look at Belichick's influence on that? Because Bill Parcells won the 2, and Belichick was his defensive coordinator for both. So Belichick had a big hand in that too. So you would think that there would be more. If you just ask any football fan off the top of his or her head to guess, I don't think you would guess it would be that imbalanced. I wouldn't have. Would you?
No, I wouldn't have.
I don't
wouldn't
really
even
know
thought
that
about
there's a
it.
real reason. Like, I would think back in the old days, there would be more defensive guys in there
that called their own plays.
Well, the call their own plays is different than a defensive-minded coach
because
who
you
has
have
the
Bill
great
Cowher,
defensive coordinator. Because
and
here's the list prior to Mike McDonald. Bill Belichick in 2018, 2016, and 2014. His play callers were Brian Flores and Matt Patricia. Pete Carroll in 2013 with Dan Quinn. Mike Tomlin in 2008 with Dick LeBeau. Tony Dungy in 2006 with Ron Meeks, to go down the list from there from 2005. Bill Cowher, Bill Belichick, George Seifert, Jimmy Johnson, Bill Parcells, George Seifert.
See, George Seifert, I didn't even realize was a defensive
Me
guy.
either. I thought he was more of an offensive guy than anything.
Ray Rhodes was his defensive coordinator, his defensive play caller in 1994. Bill McPherson was his play caller in 1989.
Maybe because of the team he coached, San Francisco 49ers. You
think
just
offense.
thought,
Yeah,
you think offense. But yeah, the whole defensive thing, I never put 2 and 2 together with San Fran anyway. It's all about how you because it changes, I think. 1 minute we're on the craze of you got to hire that great offensive mind to lead your team to the Super Bowl. And we saw with McVay and the rest of these guys. And then all of a sudden the defensive guys like, yes, now you got to win it with a defensive minded guy that controls the defense. Whoever wins the Super Bowl, that's who you're going to have to be like.
I think there's going to be a paradigm shift, if that's the right word, in this scenario. People are going to be talking about, we got to find the next Mike McDonald. No more finding the next Sean McVay. That's off to the side for now. We've got to find the next Mike McDonald, the next defensive innovator, the young up-and-coming defensive coach. I think we're going to start seeing
that's because they won a Super Bowl. Now,
do you think that, not to interrupt there,
no.
do you also think part of it's because they've probably run out of young offensive coaches?
Yeah, that could be the case
point?
too. I mean,
who did they just hire? The cupboard, so to speak?
There could be a possibility of them looking for
Clint Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. He's now going to coach the Raiders.
And I guarantee you, had the Minnesota Vikings went to the Super Bowl last year and won, they'd have been, see, you need a guy like what's the offensive coordinator / head coach?
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, you need a Kevin O'Connell to win a Super Bowl. That's what it would have been. So again, I think, listen, the NFL changed like you change your underwear every day. It just changes from one side to the other. Well, at least I change my underwear every day. I don't know about
I would
everybody
hope
else.
that you do.
But it changes, and I'm just using that as an analogy. But the NFL changes. It's like, okay, this is how you win. No, this is how you win. No, This is how you, and this pendulum keeps going back and forth because nobody knows exactly what it truly takes outside of just being a disciplined, good team, build a culture. Outside of that, it's like some teams win it with an elite quarterback. Some teams win it with a good quarterback. Some teams win it with Trent Dilfer. Some teams win it with pay. It just depends, you know. If you had to have that guy underneath center to win a Super Bowl, man, people wouldn't let guys go, you know, or people would be very careful how they draft a quarterback, if indeed that was the case. Does it give you an advantage? Yes, but you have to have more than that.
Do you think Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl will change how teams approach reclamation project quarterbacks? That has been the craze in the NFL in recent years. But Darnold is the first, at least in my recollection, to actually win the Super Bowl.
Well, you know, you look at, let me see. You look at Johnson out of when they won it in Tampa.
Yeah.
Brad
Johnson.
That was not his original team.
Exactly. It wasn't his original team.
But you're going back more than 20 years.
But I'm saying it's happened before.
Jim Plunkett.
Exactly. So
how about in recent history?
There has been reclamation projects that have come. Doug Williams. He was another
going back further.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, I know, like, for say your generation or be, you know, generation forward, moving forward from yours, we have experience of that happening. Willie and I, we've seen that happen before. The new generation of football fans, they haven't seen it happen. So when they see a Sam Darnold win, it's like, oh my goodness, that's how you do it. Well, maybe that is because you got people like Baker Mayfield, who has been on 3 or 4 teams and he's playing really well. You have other quarterbacks that have, you know, been on their second team that have, you know, led their team to playoff runs. You look at Matt Hasselbeck. Was his original team Seattle?
No, he was on the Packers.
Exactly. So you have Matt
Hasselbeck Brett Favre for a while.
Exactly. He leads his team to a Super Bowl. They didn't win, but he led his team to. So those things happen.
But I'm just wondering now that one of those quarterbacks in this generation, no disrespect to y'all's generation.
Yes, I get it.
But in this generation.
Well, okay. Well, let's take the current group. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. I mean, there are examples of it can be done. A big jump by a guy who looked at Mac Jones could be the next guy, right? So there is evidence now, maybe more so than there was even 4 or 5 years ago.
But now one of them has gotten over the hump. That's my point.
Well, Geno Smith was the same.
I think it's a good. Geno Smith is a good one. Now he was really unique. He was out in mothballs for years, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, hey, here he comes. Let's see what's next for him. But I think it's a debate too on, do you build it around the quarterback? Because Darnold won it, but Darnold, he was very good. And like Jalen Hurts, very good, but played to his strengths, didn't have to do everything, didn't have to win the game. Like Patrick Mahomes, they've gotten to the point where if Patrick Mahomes now doesn't do it all by himself, Josh Allen kind of the same way. He's like got the whole team on his back because it just gets that way, it seems. But the Eagles last year and the Seahawks this year, really good teams where the quarterback is a part of it and a big part of it, but not everything, right? Darnold turned the ball over more than any quarterback in the league, but they still won a lot of games because of the defense. He has a great receiver. He's a good running game, good offensive line. And then they didn't turn the ball over at all in the playoffs. They went from turning it over the most to 0 in the playoffs. So he didn't have to do anything. Did he have to do anything yesterday? No,
not much. And that's the thing. We're looking at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's not an elite quarterback. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. You can win with Sam Darnold. And if it works out perfectly like it did with Seattle this year, you can win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold, like, I wouldn't necessarily build my sort of team based upon that premise of we got to get a reclamation because look at what Sam Darnold did. No, if I can avoid that, I want to. But if that team wasn't ready to go, then adding Sam Darnold wouldn't have put them in the Super Bowl. That team was ready. They played lights out during the playoffs. Their defense and their offense did what they had to do, especially in the Super Bowl, and they won. Not taking anything from Sam Darnold, but like it wasn't like he had this MVP type season. You know, he had a good season, and their defense ended up playing lights out in the playoffs. Everything hit well in the playoffs, and like Willie said, they didn't turn the ball over.
Well, let's also look at the trend that was happening right before the reclamation guys started to come out of the woodwork, right? You had this other wave of teams that re-upped on a quarterback for big money before they had really done anything. Trevor Lawrence, Tua, the kid from Love from Green Bay,
Jordan
right?
Love, yeah.
And all those guys are doing well, but they got big money because they were at the crossroads of their deal, and it was like, well, we don't want to go and start the search for another quarterback. I don't know if on the frontier who's going to be out there, so let's just stick with what we got. And it's been a mixed bag. So it will be interesting as Cam Ward in a couple of years approaches that stage. How will he grow by then? Will he be a clear-cut, let's reinvest second contract? We all hope that that's what happens. Or will there be, well, it's Cam Ward, or do we find another Sam Darnold?
Mr. G on our text line says, if Mac Jones becomes the next guy, that would be two former backup San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks to make a deep playoff run. Kyle Shanahan sure knows how to develop quarterbacks. For whatever it's worth, ESPN reported over the weekend that the 49ers have no plans, quote unquote, to trade Mac Jones. We'll see if that actually happens, but ESPN is reporting they, quote unquote, have no plans to trade Mac Jones.
So what's his contractual status?
He has another year at $3.07 million.
So he's like one of the best bargains in football based on what he did. And they have re-upped with Purdy. That was another guy that they had to make a decision on. I forget what he got compared to Tua and all those others, but that'll be one to watch. Because there wasn't a huge drop-off when Purdy missed all those games. Mac Jones kept him moving.
Brock Purdy signed a 5-year, $265 million deal. $181 million in overall guaranteed money.
Not cheap.
No. His new contract has an average value of $53 million. This was
kind of the going rate. And so you have this all out there. And you have now more momentum, I would say, for finding a quarterback in creative ways and not just, hey, we got to use our first pick on the quarterback.
615-737-1025. We will wrap up the show. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Some breaking news in the world of college sports within the past 30 minutes or so. A Tuscaloosa judge has denied Charles Bediaco's motion for a preliminary injunction to allow him to continue playing for Alabama. Within the past 10 minutes, a statement from NCAA President Charlie Baker. Something tells me Willie is going to like this. Quote, common sense won around today. The court saw this for what it is, an attempt by professionals to pivot back to college and crowd out the next generation of students. College sports are for students, not for people who already walked away to go pro and now want to hit the undo button at the expense of a teenager's dream. While we're glad the court upheld the rules our members actually want, one win doesn't fix the national mess of state laws. It's time for Congress to stop watching from the sidelines and help us provide some actual stability, end quote.
I like the notion, but I also don't like the Congress has to do it. I think there's a lot of common sense where it just needs to be a pact among teams. Like, we're not going to take these guys.
Because if all the coaches say we're not going to do it, then
it doesn't
get done. It's just,
we're not offering you a scholarship.
Absolutely. So it's not going to take Congress. It shouldn't take Congress to figure out this issue that they're having. The unfortunate part about it is this young man probably got some bad advice, or they probably told him, hey, this is what you're going to, he was probably like, listen, this is my dream. I'm going to do it. And he chose to do it. Well, when you make that decision, somebody needs to explain to you, like, this, you may not be able to come back from this decision that you're making to enter into the NBA draft. There's no precedent set for you to play professionally and then come back and play, finish up your eligibility. And now you've removed yourself from a development phase in the G League to play a few games in college. And now are you going back to the G League? And did you show enough in college? How are scouts going to look at that? Like his, 3 games he played? 4 maybe?
He played 5 for Alabama.
So how are they? It's not like Alabama went 5-0 either, Well,
it had also had to be, even though I think Nate Oates tried to downplay it, it could not have been easy for the team.
Exactly.
Sitting there, go, okay, I'm the starter. I play this position. Oh wait, here comes this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it disrupts everything. Like it's not like he played with all these guys.
Exactly, I can
he
see
did play for Alabama,
year,
but
he wasn't.
That's a totally different team now.
Exactly,
they're like, who is this guy?
He's been out for a year or two, hasn't he?
Yes.
So it ain't like he even went
2 years.
Yeah, he ain't like he went and played a few games and then say, I'm going back. Yeah. So you still used to those guys. Hey, glad you're back, man.
My buddy
didn't know you.
There might be one guy left from
the equipment guy.
Don't make me tap the sign. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. The Athletic writes, Bediaco's original complaint argued that he, quote, never would have left school to pursue financial gain elsewhere, end quote, had he known the amount of money he could have soon earned at the college level via NIL and direct revenue sharing from the university under the terms of the House settlement.
I understand that, but the rules,
you made your bed, dude.
Yeah, the rules changed a year after or 2 years after you left. The rules changed. And that it's unfortunate.
They're not retroactive.
Exactly. It's unfortunate. It happens across sports, period. Like, for me, when I was in school, we wasn't getting this, and then the minute I leave, they get the stuff. It's like, it happens. It's
life.
Exactly.
Life's not always fair. Is the guy for Baylor still playing? The first guy that came in there? I assume he's still in there.
That's a good question. Is it Najee? James Najee?
But that's a different judge, though.
Different state. I guess I don't know all.
And that's the hard part about it too, is that each state has their own thing where it needs to be uniform across the board.
That's what Baker was saying there. It needs to be uniform across the country.
Mm-hmm.
He played in Baylor's previous game against Iowa State on Saturday.
So he's still in there. So I'm sure Bediaco's going, why does he get to keep playing?
Maybe Bediaco should transfer and go somewhere.
Maybe go to Baylor.
Go to Baylor. Just keep moving from school to school.
Drew in
Find
Columbia,
a state where you can play.
Drew in Columbia says, as an Alabama fan and alumnus, I was dreading the precedent that Oates was trying to establish, trying to get Bediako's eligibility. That being said, I think the NCAA needs to tighten everything. Semi-NBA pros, 23 or 24 years old, who have played some time in Europe in their leagues and so forth, make it about student athletes or don't.
Right. That's a whole nother real messy topic, is the kids from Europe who come over
exactly
and are really, really good.
And they
maybe a little older.
Yeah.
They you can tell they're all around. You know, they're very good players. And the coaches have the gene, the survival gene, right? It's like, well, maybe this isn't right, but that gene wins out. Like, I got to win, or else I got to feed my family.
Yes.
I'm going to get fired.
They're going to fire me, so I got to bring in this 28-year-old.
So what does this mean for Joey Aguilar?
Wait, he's an alien. He's from Mars. Do it. Let's just do it.
We got to win.
We got to win.
It don't matter.
Yeah. What does this mean for Joey Aguilar?
I think it's and Will and I said something about it briefly before we got on. It's different, you know, because Aguilar didn't go off to the NFL for 2 years and said, right. Well, I want to come back, or the Arena League and say, I want to come back. He was just a guy that is trying to exhaust every year he could possibly get, you know, considering, you know, his plight, his years in JUCO and all this other stuff, COVID and everything else. So it's different from that standpoint. He didn't go pro, and he didn't get drafted, meaning Aguilar. So,
I do wonder if the judge, because there's that theory that, well, the judge in your home state is going to do you right. He's going to look out for, he's going to look out for your team in your state. He's going to get your guy eligible. So I don't know. Like, didn't one of the guys had to be recused in Alabama, right? I don't know what's going on in Tennessee, but I just wonder if the judge will look at this in any way and say, well, you know, we got to stop the madness here.
In Charles Bediako's final college game, Alabama won 96-92. He had 12 points on 5 of 5 shooting.
He went out in style.
Yeah.
He went out in style.
Before we leave,
I wish I could have come back to college at 24 or 25. There's
still
better.
time.
Oh.
There's still time. One thing before we leave. It was one thing I was thinking about as I was watching the Super Bowl last night. Do people still care about the commercials as much as we used to? It's different now because the commercials are leaked online. They are easily accessible on the internet. I remember when I was younger, you used to have to sit in front of the TV. I'm not going to the bathroom during the breaks because I don't want to miss the commercials, because if you miss them, you may not see them for a while. And I saw some of the commercials last night. A lot of the AI creeped me out, but it's not a cultural thing the way it used to be. And those commercials are like $8 to $10 million just to get them on TV. The production, paying the talent, all of those things, that's even more expensive. Like, I would love to know how much that Dunkin' commercial, that was a take of Good Will Hunting with Ben Affleck, and I think Jaleel White was in it, and Jason Alexander, and I don't know how much of it was AI. Like, I don't know if that was actually Jennifer Aniston and Tom Brady at the end of that commercial. I have no idea. I never assume at this point. But that commercial had to cost a ton of money to produce.
Yeah, I think I used to watch the commercials anyway, because they were witty and funny and, you know, just crazy things you were looking for. Some were productions and it was like, oh, cool. And I think they do still have some of that. Like, I like the first commercial they showed with Ben Stiller in it. And he was a rock star or something. That one was funny. The, you know, tight end one was informative. It was a clever way.
That was clever.
To kind of get men to, you know, prostate cancer and whatnot. So that was clever. The ski one, I thought that was because it was a beer. I can't remember what beer it was. Coors, I think. That was kind of funny because I thought that guy had to ski just to get a Coors, like Coors Light or whatever it was. But beyond that, some of them came and went, and I didn't, because I'm sure there were many more, but those are the only ones I remember.
I wasn't overly impressed. Sometimes I wonder, am I just not finding things as funny as maybe I used to? Was my standard bar lower 20 years ago or something? I don't know. Like, are we overhyping the ones that we think we remember, or
I don't think we are. I don't think we are.
are they just not as good?
Because a lot of it is you don't know what's real or what's not. Like the production that they put in, just like Adam was saying, the whole AI. You don't know if it's real or not. So they use all these AIs and they enhance it. No, I want something like go to the old Bush commercials, when they just use the horses or the frog.
When they
commercial.
first had the polar bear.
Yeah. Pepsi has a polar bear now. I never knew that.
Well, that's what they always they
I thought Coke only had a polar bear.
Coke was the polar bear.
Yeah, and now Pepsi has one.
Oh,
Gimmick infringement.
They do. If I saw that correctly, yeah,
I assumed it was just Pepsi all along.
No,
I knew it was Coke. Yeah,
it's Coke.
But now Pepsi has a bear or polar bear. Remember
the polar bear line
the
on
old
the
school, the Budweiser.
The frogs.
The
yeah,
frogs.
yeah,
That's stuff like that. I remember stuff like that. So, where's the beef when that came out during the Super Bowl? Where's the beef?
That's one of the best.
See, it's the classic ones, not all of this AI nonsense. Though my favorite commercial was the Pringles commercial with Sabrina Carpenter for obvious reasons.
You love
get
Pringles.
yourself in trouble again.
Be
Exactly.
careful.
You walk yourself into it every time. You like pushing the line.
I mean,
don't you? You like
Friday's about to go home too.
Exactly.
And the worst part is he'll blame us. Be like, you guys are like
They brought it
making
up.
me
No,
do this.
We didn't bring it up.
No, we didn't.
I think my wife is out of the car by now, so I'm safe. But that'll do it for us today. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Trevor Maddich will join us during the 4 o'clock hour. We'll continue looking ahead now that the NFL offseason is truly in full swing. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Monday. I love you. The team loves you. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. See you tomorrow on 102.5 The Game at 3 p.m. Peace.